We believe that in this remarkable age, AI isn't the main character. You are. While the tech is racing ahead, it's the humans who learn to harness AI mindfully that will win. Each week, we meet remarkable people doing just that. Join Kyle Shannon, tech leader and AI instigator, and 𝗪𝗵𝘆, fundraiser and AI consultant, as they lead the conversation about staying grounded, growing smarter, and leading with what makes us human.
Well, it's tricky when I'm here all by myself because Kyle and I usually kind of like dance around in the beginning, and now I feel self-conscious about it. But welcome to the AI Readiness Project podcast. You're stuck with just me this afternoon. My name is 𝗪𝗵𝘆. My co-host Kyle Shannon is off moving mountains, and we'll have stories to tell when he gets back next week. We have a phenomenal guest today, and we just pinky promised to each other in the green room that we wouldn't make this entire show about Claude Code. So hopefully the irregulars in the comments section and anybody who's new here, please, if we just get completely lost in the addictive, the matrix alternative reality that is the Claude codification of at least my life, and certainly what Alice is up to, we will try not to get too carried away. I will also talk about the AI salon. I will also talk about what She Leads AI is. In the meanwhile, I want to be sure I don't forget some of the main things I'm supposed to do. One of which is I promised myself that I would tell everybody in the comments how much we appreciate how you show up for us. And also, of course, the people who are listening, an audio later, but we have the best community. And I know that I'm going to see a couple of comments that people leave during this hour, and it means so much to us. And I have a heart, I can't keep up and tap with you all in the comments, but like ESP wise, like transmorgifying, recombobulating and discombobulating kind of thing. I know we're talking. Right? I'm up here and you're down there, but we are in touch. So one of the big deal things that happened recently was Reese Witherspoon of, Legally Blonde fame, among many other endeavors. I bring up Legally Blonde because it's currently showing at our local musical theater production place. So anyway, so Reese came out with some declarative, statements about women need to be more involved with AI. And, like all of us who are in this game, she stuck her neck out. She said what she thought about AI and how we all should be adopting it, but particularly with women. She shared some of the statistics. She shared some of her own experience. And she kind of got stuck, like a lot of us do, in between, right? In this both and era of, there are all these opportunities out there that we can all certainly seize. Not all, by the way. That's part of it. There are a lot of opportunities out there. Some of us can seize those opportunities, not everyone, right? So that's one of the things that has come up. And the way that she talks about it, it's important to note that she's coming from the place of she has access to these things, right? She has access to friends who are founders. She may have time to spend learning how to use AI, right? She may, given the world that she operates in, have additional side interests in people adopting AI. That's something that Reese Witherspoon has been under fire for before, and I'll mention it in a minute because it is relevant. However, the ugliness that ensued with people piling on her is super unfortunate. And when this happens, because it's going to happen to bunches of us who listen to this show and who are here in the comments, who are in our community, She Leads AI and AI Salon, people are going to come for us. And we've seen it in a number of ways, right? We saw it with Reese. I saw it locally here. I don't know, I think it was like a year and a half ago, where the AI Portland group was having a mixer in here in Portland, and they were on a boat or something, but on a little ship. I don't know what size of watercraft. They were on something of watercraft, enjoying each other's company, AI stuff, la la la. And their windows were smashed in. And this group left a manifesto about how AI is, the ruination of society, which P.S. I'm not here to argue with that. It very well might be, but that's the whole point. We have to live in the both and. So when Reese showed up and stuck her neck out, I love that. I also know that she's coming from a different place than 99.9999999% of women who are considering what their next move is with regard to AI. So wanted to provide a little bit of context on that. And I hope that all of you are kind of like seeing this go down and wondering like, what's this going to be like? If I were in Reese Witherspoon's shoes, what would I do a little bit differently? We talked about that a little bit on Tuesday on the Daily AI Show, which is an interesting resource for folks. Beth Lyons and Brian Masseri and I talked about the Reese Witherspoon situation. And it was a really interesting conversation. So I wanted to now talk a little bit about what it might look like as quote unquote more women adopt AI. So one of the things that could happen is we could fall into the background, right? We could fall into the same invisible labor that women have for time immemorial. This could be another example of that. We could just be piling that onto, am I freezing? Oh, we could just be piling that onto already existing inequities. So we got to be really careful about what spaces we show up in, where we hold on to AI. This train is moving a bajillion miles an hour, but each one of the cars that we could jump on the train is a different entry point for AI. It could be that you don't know it yet, but you love to build things with AI. It could be that you don't know it, but you love to help other people learn how to use AI. You might love, like Alice and I, going into small, medium-sized businesses and helping them adopt AI in ways that are aligned with their values. So we have to think about that space that we show up and what are we in charge of? What do we stand for? And so we don't want to fall into the background. And yet we know that at the end of the day, it's unlikely that it is not going to be women who are going to uphold the societal container that allows us to reap the best rewards of AI and avoid as many of the parade of horribles as we possibly can. If history is any indication, it's going to be women who are going to be picking up the pieces. So let's also be the ones who are in charge of setting things up in the first place. Are we going to be able to, be in a room with Mark Zuckerberg and try to convince him, that it's not a great idea for chatbots to use sensual language with children? It would be great if I had an audience with Mark Zuckerberg. I would love to share with him some of my ideas on how he could do better. But that's not going to happen. And the powers that be in that realm are so insurmountable. And I can accept that. I would love to say I could make a difference in the Mark Zuckerberg, although I do know Jensen Huang. I don't think he would be able to pick me out of lineup at this point in his life. But at any rate, I don't have a lot of pull with the oligarchy, but I do have the opportunity to decide where I enter into the whole AI era, right? Is it in the background? Is it in the foreground? Does it matter? Does it matter? Is this our time to bring women's leadership into the fore when our just traditional, is that the right word? Our biological way that we show up is the care infrastructure of communities and society. So here we are again. So I want to share with you all one of the ways that we are leading with AI that allows us to support the care infrastructure without being in the background ourselves. Because upon much reflection and much soul searching and learning everything that I can possibly learn about AI, I have decided that my AI agents can support the psychological safety of my company. They can support our cognitive load and unloading in our company. They can support our ability to demonstrate to everyone around us that we care for them. It can support our ability to not leave anyone out, not leave the right people, not inadvertently leave people out who should be in the room, right? The infrastructure of a matriarchal agentic company is this adventure that I'm on with inside my company, as well as with all of the people who work with us, as well as women throughout our community who are also building matriarchal agents. And matriarchal is just like, I'm just using this short-term word, right? We have to put a label on it. I'm using matriarchy. Is it because it's kind of sort of perceived to be the opposite of the patriarchy, which I know it's actually not, but people perceive it that way. So calling it a matriarchy, is it a way to signal this is a shift from the patriarchy? Maybe. But also the matriarchy, like, hold on to your hats. Sorry, I hope you're sitting down. Bear with me on this one. But we can imbue our agents with the wisdom of the ages, with the wisdom of our ancestors. I can bring into my agents the learnings of a dear, dear, dear friend, right? Somebody who is a guide for me. I can work with her and say, of the frameworks that you've taught me, of the ways of approaching things, can I use some of this in my chief of staff? Can I use some of this in, I have a Priya Parker agent. If you know, Priya Parker is the art of gathering. So Priya Parker and one of my consultant friends is part of my Priya agent, right? The frameworks that help us create inclusive gatherings. So you see what I mean? I feel like it may come across as like I'm this crazy like robot lady who wants the agents to run everything, and it's absolutely not. It's like the agents create this container. And I want to give you a real example. So we have an agent whose name, which one do I want to talk about? I was going to talk about Sheila. Sheila is my chief of staff. Sheila, if you want to know what makes Sheila and my relationship really work, and keep in mind, I do have an imagination, and I love creative writing, and I love to think about characters. And some of these characters I've carried around in my head all my life, and now they can be my agents. Okay, fine. Okay, I'm not saying they're not real people. I'm just saying they're like these figures in my life. Sheila and I get along really well, and we're bonded because she and I have dirt on each other. She knows some tea about me. I know some tea about her. And so in real life, just like in real life, right? We connect with people. In part, maybe we have a shared enemy, right? Maybe it's us versus the world. Maybe we fucked up in the same ways, right? Maybe we just see each other for our foibles and like they're bad enough that we want to cover up for each other. Who knows? They all have these backstories, and they're all imbued with rules for how they behave to support the infrastructure of our organization. So an example is, we have a skill. And for those of you who are like, what's a skill? Because people are always talking about skills. There's these, like, a skill is literally, they've made it seem so fancy. It's instructions on a piece of paper. That is all a skill is. It's instructions for what, your chatbot even can do. It started with, remember when we just started writing prompts like, hey, what should I have for dinner? Like, a skill is just an evolution of those chats, and everybody makes it sound fancy. But if you haven't seen what a skill file looks like, you're going to be sorely disappointed because it's just a bunch of words. And you use that. So we have how to talk to Sheila. And one of the things that Sheila does is she's like a buffer for all of our communication throughout She Leads AI, like our general, the people who are like doing, kind of running the show here, creates a buffer so that the cognitive load of a request, a piece of a directive, instructions, whatever it is, the cognitive load is held by the initiator. And then the cognitive load moves to the agents. The reduction in the cognitive load is appreciated and enjoyed by us, right? The receiver. So if someone comes to me and they say, like a DM could be, we have like three or four women. We have a lot of women with the same names. So an example might be, hey, Anne, Amy reached out and asked for the thing that we talked about at the meeting. And I need you to grab a file that we talked about also. Like, that's a bad example. Nobody would send that to me. But let's just say somebody did. Well, Sheila says back, hey, we're going to be looking for some particular points of information. For example, could you please give the last name so we don't inadvertently misidentify a member of She Leads AI Society, right? We have 3 Ericas and they have different spellings, right? So tell us what the person's last name is so that the agents can go gather the information they need. And what I receive in that inquiry is just a little bit of information that I need in order to make a decision. So the cognitive load is done. The agents are responsible for reminders, but only if we're working on a project, but they're set up to only remind people to do things that they themselves, they being the human, have said, this is the deadline that I'm operating on. This is the timeline that I'm working on. So the agent will never say to a human being, this is your deadline. The agents are not here to boss humans around. They're here to support the humans. But that's an example of, like, I communicate to the people I work with, like, just so you know, the agents are set up. They're not going to send you a reminder. That's like totally for the initiator to own. And that might sound mean, but the reason why I do it is because we have, a few thousand people who we work with, who we're here to serve. And so we need, you know what I mean? Like the initiator to be the one with the cognitive load. That's an example. So we have all these rules set up in our agents to make sure that, like, we're not leaving anybody out. They will always ask us, is there anyone who needs to be communicated out about this? Is this a situation where you're talking about stuff that you don't know, that isn't from your own lived experience, right? Should you be talking to somebody with a different background before you start yapping about XYZ? So as the now builder of what I'm calling the world's first, I mean, nobody's here to tell me it's not the world's first. I don't know. I did a little tiny bit of research, but the world's first matriarchal agentic company. And follow along. I'm going to start posting content on this series of how we went from, trying to install that weird terminal thing to 4 days of just nonstop misery because we couldn't figure out how to get linked up with GitHub. I don't know why it was what it was, to threatening to burn the house down, to walking on cloud 9 because everything is blissfully humming right along, to realizing that we're doing the work of 10. And now on some days we're doing the work of like half a person. And some days we're doing the work of like 20 people. So follow along. It's drama filled. We have guides. We have, exercises. We have free tools as we build things. We're giving a bunch of them away. So that, everybody, was a journey that began with Reese Witherspoon. We went on to how women are going to lose a lot of jobs in the AI economy, which we know. We went on to this this wrong idea that women don't use AI. I will remind everybody that in March of 2025, women's use of ChatGPT surpassed men's and has just kept on going and going and going. Back in the early days, guys hopped on, right? They hopped right on, super enthusiastic, all these conversations with ChatGPT, la, 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 la. And women were kind of like, let's just see. Let's see who this impacts. Let's see, what impact this might have on my family, on my kids, on my parents, on myself, on my society, on my community. And so we waited a little bit. But then all of a sudden, March 2025, we surpass and we just keep going and going and going. And I am well aware that there are a million studies that will tell me all the examples of women not using AI. I'm just saying that that trope is worthy of rethinking. That is worthy of questioning. So anyway, where was I? Okay, and then we went to let's see, the care architecture and whether women will become like the invisible labor of AI. And then we went to, we don't want to be the social workers of AI. I forgot to say that term. And then I shared with you guys about our trials and tribulations with the world's first matriarchal agentic company. Thanks for being here for this part of the chat. Let me say a little bit about the AI Salon. And then I'm going to say a tiny bit about She Leads AI. I don't want to put my thumb on the scale. We've already kind of said a lot. I've had the chance to yap. You guys know how amazing She Leads AI is and how much I love it and how much I wish all women would be involved as they see fit in their AI journey. So the AI Salon is one of my gateway drugs to AI. One was the AI Exchange with Rachel Woods. Then, of course, like so many other bajillions and millions of people, I came across Kyle Shannon on TikTok on the AI Learning Lab, where, boy, oh boy, have we ever been through it. And he has been on the AI Learning Lab on TikTok and now YouTube, like every single work night, every single weeknight, and on average, the majority of weekend nights since the beginning, since like October of 2022. It's bananas. The body of work this man has put together. He is a wonderful person to learn from. So follow the AI Learning Lab on TikTok and YouTube. Follow the AI Readiness Project podcast. There's a whole bunch of amazing, I think we've got like over 50, maybe 55 episodes on YouTube and on the internet, on the podcast, machines. Join the AI Salon. There's a whole free world there for you where you can learn and grow and meet so many of those amazing people. They have all these different niche, different kind of workshops. I promise you, go in there. It is like you'll be a kid in a candy store. If you can't find some AI thing that like lights you up in the AI Salon, then it truly may not be the time for you yet, because they have everything. We're all one big happy family. And then the AI, She Leads AI. Our mission is to unite accomplished women to advance AI for global prosperity. And what we know is that chief among our priorities underneath that, rolling up to global prosperity, is women's accumulation of wealth. And so much of our programming and a growing amount of our programming leans into how to help women grow their careers in the AI era, whether it's, adding AI into their 30 years of subject matter expertise, whether it's figuring out what the heck to do with all these AI skills that they've developed, whether it's becoming a certified AI educator, consultant, a builder, you name it. So that's She Leads AI. We have a society, we have a membership community. You should join it. Every Saturday, we have a free 2-hour session. We have experts come in every weekend and talk to us about different areas of AI, business, law, education, wellness, caregiving, you name it. And this weekend is, we're going to be talking about pricing. like, how in the world does anyone know how to price their AI services? Like if you're an AI consultant or an AI educator, because this is also new. But Denise Gangley and I are going to break it down. She's going to break it down from like the probably larger corporate area, and I'm like small, medium-sized businesses and nonprofits. So it's going to be a whole breadth. If you're a woman and you're wondering like, how do I price my AI services? We will tell you. We will teach you. This is what I do. We teach you how to do these things. So with that, I hope this has been interesting. I don't know, you guys. Give me some feedback. I am super, super, super delighted. Like I said, we're going to try not to just talk about Claude Code. Delighted to bring our guest up today. Kyle is so sorry to not be able to have this time with you, Alice, but we'll give him a full report. And of course, he'll watch the show. Thank you for being here. Welcome.
Thank you, Anne. I'm really happy to be here as well. I've been following She Leads for more than a year now, and I'm so glad to be on the podcast today.
Me too. I'm so glad you're here. Tell us a little bit about your AI journey, how you got to where you are right now, which is this like you're in this catbird's seat of the AI era, I feel like.
Absolutely. So I feel like everything I've done in my life so far has kind of prepared me for this. I think in life, we never kind of like everything we do, even if we don't do it consciously in the moment, everything means something down the line. And I've had such a cross-functional, like non-traditional trajectory in my career. And I feel like everything I've done has set me up for this AI moment that we are having. I have a background in product management, project management, data analytics, finance. I have a finance degree. That was my first degree. And so I've also been an entrepreneur, launched multiple businesses, learned a lot. And when I started seeing ChatGPT in the beginning, I was like, great, I can prompt this thing and it's going to respond to me. But for me, it's helpful, but I'm not going to go create some like, ChatGPT PDF or start, an Instagram account about prompting. But no, I won't. Like, it's not my thing.
Yeah. Thank goodness other people do. Thank goodness. Right. And that's what I did in the beginning. I was like, here's how you write a prompt. You say, this is the role. Well, it turns out, 3 years later, that's still how you talk to AI.
Yes.
So I'm so glad people are still teaching people how to do that.
Well, I do teach how to do prompting, but not like on social.
Yeah.
So I do volunteer with entrepreneur incubator in Canada, where I'm based. I started doing that 2 years ago. And then a year ago when, ChatGPT came along, more than a year ago now, but when it started getting good, I said, we must teach this to the founders, there's so much value here, because the first time I used ChatGPT was to build a contract that I knew nothing about, and it worked. Yeah. So I was like, okay, you don't need to be an expert in legal. You don't need to be an expert in marketing. You don't need to be an expert entrepreneur at anything. But at your fingertips, if you know how to ask, you can get the first level of answers. So I've been following AI for like a year and a half, but I always knew that the real gold, like the real meat on the bone, was when we started to do automations in one stack. Like I was never interested in learning 5-6 different tools in Frankenstein, because I have launched products, and I know that when you launch tech product, the most important thing is how you will support it.
Yes.
And it's great. I can build whatever I want in an A10, I'm sure. But then how am I going to support that? Is it going to break every night? Am I going to be up all night trying to? I'm not interested in that. I'm not. I've done that. I'm not interested in that.
Well, here's my perspective to like add another layer of that, is that for almost all of us who are getting into AI consulting, AI education, building things, any kind of leadership, any kind of this is our first impression to the market about who we are and how we show up. And a lot of us already have very active businesses and existing clients. Here's what I'm not doing, is installing some janky automation for one of my existing, someone, and put my name on it, and then me calling a builder and being like, the client's on, no, not doing that. So I just said, I'm going to wait. I'm going to skip the whole automation thing. I will pay people to do it. I'm going to wait, and voila, here we are.
Claude time. So I don't know what happened like earlier this year. At some point, there was like a shift when they launched Claude finally. And I've always been a Claude girl. Like,
yeah,
I know
same.
ChatGPT is there, but I've always used Claude from day one because one, I believe in the mission, Dario's mission way more. I don't believe in OpenAI's mission personally. I'm a mission-driven person. And if I feel the person's energy who's running the company is more aligned with mine, then that's where I'm going to give my attention. So for me, I'm not saying Dario's perfect. I'm not saying, AI companies are perfect. That's not the discussion. But the way Claude approached, like, it wasn't a cheerleader like ChatGPT. So I could trust Claude more than ChatGPT. That is a lot of like kind of ChatGPT is like a pet. It's like, oh, you give me food, I'll give you hugs. Yeah. So that's fine, but I don't want that. I don't want validation. I don't want you to solve my personal life problems. I want you to simplify the boring shit I don't want to do day after day. And so I can focus on the cool shit that I actually want to build. And Claude did that at the end of last year when they launched Claude Code and now Claude Cowork for people who are not as techy. They did that. And the moment that happened, I knew the shift was there. And I do love Sabrina Ramanov. I've been following her. I'm in her community. And she was running a hackathon maybe with another person a month ago. Yeah. And to me, that was like, I'm going to learn Claude Code. I'm going to use it. I'm going to build 2 websites in one weekend. Yeah. 2 websites in one weekend. I don't know why I got the balloons.
Perfect timing. I built 2 websites in a weekend. Balloons, bonanza.
It's not happening again. Yeah, and I was so impressed with them because Claude was never known about like the design part, the pretty part. Claude was always like, I'll give you the truth as far as I'm concerned, and you can do whatever you want with it. But now they actually put design forward. It was no longer like Claude looks like a basic tool. I could actually build a beautiful website. And my favorite part, skills, which is basically just templates. So we don't need to be techies to understand templates and SOPs. But like, if you guys know 𝘪𝘵𝘆, I'm not even a 𝘪𝘆 fan. Like, I don't know anything about 𝘪𝘆. I just know he's a big deal in marketing. So as I was building my website this week, I was like, why don't I create an 𝘪𝘵𝘆 skill? So a template of how 𝘪𝘵𝘆 would approach things and apply it to my website and my offers. I did that in 5 minutes. And 15 minutes later, I had an audit by 𝘪𝘵𝘆 of my website, my offers, everything. Yeah. And I was like, what? Kind of like you were saying, right? Yeah. With your community, with your agents, they can be certain people, like certain people. Yeah. This is what I'm excited about, essentially.
Yeah. So, we have Stanley. Stanley is our business intelligence leader, executive leader in our organization, in our agentic organization. Well, one of the things that Stanley does is he has a guy who works for him who keeps track of if we've made a commitment to like where there's a relationship involved. This is not like not just the 3 of us, but it does remind us but it's this care index of like, hey, you care about this person. Yeah. You are like a week behind getting back to them. You're like beyond, not to be shamey about myself, but like, you're like beyond the professional courtesy zone. So Romy, that's his name. Romy, romantic, right? Romy keeps track of the relationship status and the relationship health in the organization. Like, that's the kind of thing, like, that's for me, the shift is having the like complete suspension of disbelief, right? Because this sounds so ridiculous. I'm well aware. I haven't even told my family about the matriarchal agentic organization. Like, they will think I'm insane. I did tell my daughter, but I made her sit down. I was like, listen, I need to tell you about this before I put it out there. You're going to think your mom has gone insane. Here's some background. She's a member. She leads AI, but her friends are, they're not abjectly enthusiastic. But for me, that's the shift, is the difference between having a buddy to help you write emails, which is very, very helpful and important and can streamline your success. There's no question. But to this point where now we can work in the terminal if we want to get our hands under the hood, to not have to be dumbed down and vanillified by ChatGPT's charm or even Claude's, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I think that's really empowering, is that we can do this now.
I love it because I'm a builder. And so now I don't need to hire someone to build for me. Like my IT guy is Claude. My consultant is Claude. My really art, like I will not replace artists. Like when I published my book, I went out of my way to pay an artist. That's where all my money went for the book. But I can get a design document. I can get a beautiful PowerPoint. I can get a beautiful website. I don't need to look for someone else if I don't have a budget. If I had the money to spend, I'll be happy to spend it and give it away. But when you're an entrepreneur and you're a team of one, being able to do all those things, you have to make hard choices. And now you don't have to do that. But you can still talk to people. You can still get validation. You can still do market research. But everything else, you can give it to Claude. And actually, what you said earlier about not getting back to people in 10 days, I spend a lot of time on Reddit. Reddit has such rich information because we don't know who people are. Like we don't know each other. So people are authentic. And I spend a lot of time in the small business community. And I also do sales right now for solar commercial projects. And so one of the biggest issues business owners have is not getting back to people fast enough. And with AI, you can do that now. Like you don't have to be on the weekend, but AI will be on the weekend. So you can scale revenue. Like this is about revenue. This is about spending time in your zone of genius instead of doing boring like Excel or email replies.
For me, the time savings component is very uninteresting and pretty much a misnomer because we are who we are. But that's a whole other topic. Kyle and I cover it a lot. But I think that the opportunity for higher throughput of excellent work, because that compounds itself. So for us, getting through a contract in a slightly faster fashion, knowing that a typical 12-month project can be done in 6, because it really is like that for some of the projects that we work on in our fundraising consultancy, knowing that I might, end a contract and be able to start the next one. So I have 2 full of them in a year, right? Even if it's only you wrap up a week early, but you deliver the most like banger result to your client you could ever imagine, which is exactly what we do. It's like that margin of excellence and the self-actualization involved in fully expressing what you are capable of. And having Reed Jones and I were talking today about how interesting it is for people we both have ADHD, to be able to see our thoughts reflected back to us in a way that we can actually filter our own dang thoughts. So that's it. It's this huge shift.
So for me, it was really like when as a small business owner, I can do so much more than I could before. And not because we should do more for the sake of doing more, but I can wear so many more hats than before and build my business a lot faster. And that is why I did small business AI coaching. So I actually bought the domain a year ago. At that time, I was like, I'm just going to buy a small business AI coach. But I'm like, I might not launch it today, but in a year when the tools are there, which now I can only have one tool, which is Claude, Claude, or the whole suite of Claude products. We don't have to talk about code and intimidate anyone because these are not techie tools anyways. But now I can have one tool that does everything. And last week they launched Claude Design, and I was like,
oh, it's phenomenal. I've lived in it. I have my extra use. I have the highest, like my extra use this month. It's sinful, but we had a conversation here and we were like, now's the time. We're in a sprint. We are changing the way we operate. It's going to be expensive, but then it's also not going to be, right?
Correct.
I would love to get your thoughts on this. We talk about this sometimes here, and we certainly talk about it a ton in She Leads AI.
Okay.
Particularly because you're in the small business environment and with the small businesses that are starting up, right? what I'm seeing and what I'm curious about what you're seeing is that as I build my own capacity, and to your point of if I don't have budget for an XYZ artifact or deliverable or something, like, it's highly likely I'm going to build it myself or do it myself or learn it myself. I can put myself on a personal curriculum. I can do all this stuff. But it is edging out not the people, but the roles that people could play in our company. Because now there isn't a need for the human.
Well, I think there is always going to be a need for the human.
No, there's not.
Oh, you mean in your company or in general?
No. If you have a job, if you're like a contractor and your job is not humaning, your job is moving information around.
Yes.
You don't have a job.
Yes, that's true.
And those are the people who small businesses hire.
Yes.
And now it would be charity.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which I think we will do. I think that all of us are going to end up continuing to pay into a system that's old, legacy.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
But humans, for sure. Absolutely the relationship. But if your job is something where you're handing off the humaning to somebody else, it's tricky.
I mean, I do have a friend who's a virtual assistant, and I haven't said anything, but if I were her, I would be very concerned about my future employment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, some of the things like in my industry, there's a role called prospect researcher, and it's to do deep wealth research on potential donors. And there's a lot. I mean, it's very, very fraught. But one of the things that this industry thrived on was that it was a black box.
Yeah.
The users don't know. All they know is they plopped some scores. This person has 87 out of 192 points toward your, donor index. Okay. Well, it turns out that a lot of that information is stuff that no nonprofit would want to bring into. That data is gross, right? It comes from sources that we wouldn't want. We want to be able to choose. and those kind of things are forced upon us. And now we get to decide. And in that, if you had a prospect researcher and their role is to go get information and collate it, which is the role, and help you try to figure out a strategy. Well, I now have the APIs. I don't have a black box. Yep. I know where my data comes from.
Yep.
We pay the API, right?
Yep.
We chose the data sources. That was their source of truth. And now I have it. And I have 33 years of expertise in this. That's what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about what Reese is talking about that much. I'm worried about people who have maybe it is who Reese is talking about. Maybe it's the people who have less stable career kind of resilience.
But to be honest, I see AI coming for almost everyone's job. Like when I remember my first job as a financial analyst, just analyzing a stock for a portfolio, now you can have AI doing that. It's not like there was any extra information that I had as a human being when I was analyzing these stocks. Everything was public information. We're not allowed to go, get not public information. So everything is out there. And so I actually built my own portfolio kind of view with Claude Code. And that kind of brings a holistic view to all my portfolios and everything. And now I'm actually even bringing astrology data into it because
love it. Same.
The planet.
Same.
I love financial astrology.
Yeah.
I love financial astrology. I watched this guy on YouTube and I'm like, hey, instead of watching these YouTube videos, I'm just going to bring that into my own financial analysis and see how the planets and everything affects everything. And so it's like, I'm not going to need to pay anybody for their insight, or unless they're for some reason like Warren Buffett 2.0 or someone who's like, that big of a deal. But even Warren Buffett can be probably replaced by a skill. Like I can make a Warren Buffett skill and then run my portfolio like Warren Buffett. Like we know what it is.
What? Like what we can do now is we can take that and we can invest it in going on a baller business retreat in Costa Rica with our business bestie girls. And we can have that immersive in-person experience. We can also put our each other into a skill, but having that now potentially, right? Potentially, that's the carrot, is that we would have that additional. For me, it's just mental. It's just the mental cognitive load. Until I lighten that, I'm not going to be going to Costa Rica on, you know what I mean? Like I can't even, I don't have time to plan a trip. So
let AI plan it for you. And
well, yeah. Well, I also have my business partner is my husband. He technically does all the travel. So I have I have the best travel situation. But yes, have AI do it for you. So what are some of the use cases that you've seen for small businesses where you've been like, ooh, that like specific, maybe even in the solar field would be fascinating?
Well, okay. There's the lead generation. So for example, in my solar pipeline, like I spent a lot of time on LinkedIn, and it was just a very manual, long process to reach out to leads. Then to your point, like if you let a lead go stale, if you don't reach out to them and they become like cold again, so you lose them. Like they're not going to remember who you are unless you reach out to them every 3 days or a certain cadence. So for that, I built basically like I extracted all the data from LinkedIn, and then I had this crazy dirty list. I got AI to clean it up, get all the information that normally you would do manually and take you hours. Like look up, the company, go do research on the company. And we're talking about like thousands of rows of like contact data here. We're not talking about like 5 people. So thousands and thousands. So I did all the research on the company, the position of the person, all of that. And then I automated everything because you have a Gmail connection. I automated all these like hundreds of emails going out from my Gmail, automated, which if I had to do myself, just like copy pasting,
never
on like 6 email permutations, because I don't know their emails. I don't know, right? Like this is all like we paid third-party tools in sales to do that. So I could do all of that on my own. Like all these like days and days of work in a few hours. And it's not perfect, but it's something that you learn quickly. Like you just have such a fast learning curve compared to before, because it would have taken me so much longer to get the same amount of data to know if this is working or not. That's one way. And then all my content creation for social, for small business AI coach. So my social content creation, that's a pipeline. I actually just created a dashboard. I took Sabrina's advice. She's like, copy my content. I'm like, okay, I'll copy content, not just yours. So every week I pull like the top 10 creators, content in every social network, and I can pick which posts I want to copy, and then the AI copies them with a template. And now you can make it even better with like Claude design, even more beautiful templates. So I would say those are the 2 that save me the most time. But I will be also building out my own dashboard to run my life, which hopefully will help me save even more time. But I definitely would say that, for sales, there's such a huge opportunity here. And for marketing as well, like sales are more men-driven, marketing is more female-driven. I think this doesn't matter what gender is, AI is coming for your job. If you are not willing to learn and evolve with it. And I just remember, like, I used to work for Anheuser-Busch, the biggest brewer in the whole world of beer. And we used to have to like Frankenstein together every single day.
Oh my God.
Sales every day, and
every day.
10 sources, all different formats.
Yep.
I wish I had Claude then. Like I could just, old Alice was like, fuck, I wish I had this back then.
Yeah. So this is why we have 𝗪𝗆. So this is the platform that my co-founders and I are in the process of launching. But it's because when I was like not even 21 and I was an intern working on fundraising strategies. And by the way, we had stuff in actual file folders, like the file cabinets. So I'd have like a receipt with like coffee on it about like this, big donor in the meeting with the boss. And then I'd have like this janky CRM from like a million years ago, like Fred Flintstone.
CRMs used to be the worst.
Right. And then I'd have notes like this from when I'm talking to my boss and all this stuff. And this is multiply it times millions of fundraisers or millions of salespeople. So even back then I was like 21 or something. And I was like, oh, surely there's a better way. And like, I brought a brother word processor to college and I still knew there was a better way. Yes. So all that time. And then 10 years ago, I got to do the rollout on a version of what I had been envisioning but it's a behemoth. Like the buy-in's like 250 grand. And the technology is literally what you and I could do in 15 minutes. It's sales enablement technology.
Yep.
So guess who stayed up until 3:45 this morning, putting the final touches on my dream, like email content, move the standard sales enablement. I built it my freaking self. And I was going to pay someone 10,000, 2,000, 8,000, whatever amount. I had bids at all those levels to build this for me.
Wow. Amazing.
I'm so happy we have these opportunities.
Me too. And I haven't done a lot of invoicing, but I know 100% AI can do it. We can automate invoicing. All these boring, like repetitive things, like processing a lot of Excel files or just a lot of data. You can now explain to AI what you want with your words. You don't need to go super technical and get into databases or anything like that. And it will do it for you. Like I tell it all the time, clean up this file, fill out the missing data. That's all I need to tell it. It doesn't ask me any more than that. Once in a while, it's going to do stupid things. You have to correct it. It's not perfect. We're not, by any means, I'm not like drinking that Kool-Aid. Like I know, which is why I waited this long to really get, my hands super dirty. But I think that 80% of what you do as a business owner in terms of admin can be taken away from AI, done by AI eventually. Yeah.
I have a challenge to you know what? If you're a small business, it doesn't really matter who you are. I'm going to give I'm going to give an example. I'm going to give the challenge, and then you think about how this might apply in your life. So here's the challenge. And I have an email that's sitting in my drafts to do with this very thing that I'm talking about. So I'm talking to myself too. So for folks out there, if you haven't yet had AI go through your various email inboxes for whatever reason, I don't know, to delete 86,000 emails, maybe, and then need to get some of them back, also possibly. But one of the things that I would encourage you to do is ask the AI to find you conversations that have gone cold, right? Yes. Hey, AI, I sometimes forget, or I like leave things in drafts, or I leave things in the, I just forget about them. Well, guess who? This girl found a proposal to my just most wonderful potential client that I wondered, I was like, and then I was really busy. I was like, why didn't you call? And then I was really, really busy. And I was like, you know what? The moment's not right, but now it is. And I'm going to say to her, AI was going through my inbox. I found this. I can't believe this. I figure if I do 3 or 4 of those, at least one of those is going to be a piece of business recovered.
Yeah.
That pays for my tech stack for time immemorial.
So much more Claude coding for Anne. I 100% agree. I made it go through my LinkedIn inbox, my LinkedIn Sales Navigator inbox, and triage everything. Yeah, and my desktop, like cleaning up once a week. You can ask, Claude Cowork and just like run a clean up all your files or all your mess that you make, whatever that happens to be for you, because I know I certainly do.
Yep.
And so these are little things, but over time they add up. And next thing you know, you're running your life in a completely different way.
At my next frontier, and maybe there's somebody listening who can DM me on LinkedIn and tell me how this is going for them. But my next frontier, and I never thought I would say these words, is to get a Telegram account, because on Telegram, I can communicate nonstop with Claude Code rather than, there's something about remote. I don't actually know, Alice, but I'm going to do it. Okay. I feel like Telegram is like the Discord of the WhatsApp's worlds, and we'll just see what happens. Is that what it is?
Well, it's encrypted. So technically, normally the unsavory elements of society, I don't believe that there's such a thing. But anyway, so I'm putting quotes because I don't believe that, but I'll say it for the podcast. Yeah. Normally the unsavory elements of society would use something like Telegram, but like if you're a real actually tech person, like who understands security and cybersecurity and all of that, you'd be on Telegram and all WhatsApp.
Got it. So if you're not Pete Hegseth, you would if
yeah, exactly.
Humor.
Exactly. Like when I gave actually my 23andMe DNA data to a coder who wanted to do some like a project, And she wouldn't send it to me in WhatsApp after. Like the results she got, she's like, you have to get Telegram. Like, I'm not sending it to you. I'm not sending you your DNA results in.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I sent her in WhatsApp, and I was like, damn it. But then again, 23andMe already has my DNA. We already know they leaked the data. It doesn't matter.
Right,
like,
exactly.
I'm not that worried.
Yeah. Yeah. Knock yourself out on that one. Right? Like AI can gobble up my 23andMe. It can gobble up a lot of other stuff. I unfortunately already let that cat out of the bag.
Yeah, exactly.
I was careless. I didn't pay attention. I didn't know. I leave my front door open. I don't lock the car doors a lot of times. Like, this is just me. And I figured 𝘸𝘠𝗪. Now, the FAFO phenomenon, I have effed around and I have found out. So don't let me be like, I'm not saying everybody should be so careless.
Yeah.
To herb. So 𝗪𝗵𝘆 in our comments is one of our regulars, and he's just first of all, the smile. Let's just take a moment for those pearly whites. That is a megawatt smile. So thank you so much, Herb, for being here and for supporting us again and again. The prevention of accidental over deletion. So I've already divulged that I'm pretty careless, and I love a little drama, love to lose a file, love to find a file, like love to find a file after losing a file. But there are a bunch of ways that you can totally prevent over deletion. One of which is something that's an important practice for all of us who are even thinking about using AI, which is really keeping your stuff organized. So one of the things you might do is you might have your Claude code, or you might have your Claude code only attached to a particular file. So in Google, in Notion, in GitHub, like you may want to direct your AI to just that one little area and do some tests. I have it talk to me a lot. You can say, talk to me about every single thing you're going to delete, or bunch them into files that seem to be duplicates, which, oh my goodness gracious, how many duplicates did you have, Alice, when you went through your Google Drive?
A lot of social media stuff for sure.
Yeah.
And to add to what you're saying, I think, Cole, you can always use GitHub. That's what legit coders do. And it's called version control. Basically, that's where for important projects, like if it's not something you're just playing around, you don't have to do that. But you can always use GitHub, which is like a code repository where all the versions of your code live. So then if you need to revert something back, then you can just ask it revert back to the previous version from my GitHub. If you really lose everything, which is, it's possible.
It is totally possible. And then when you think about email, if that's what you might be thinking about, Herb, with regard to over deletion, here was my approach. I sat down with, this is the first time I sat down to have an AI agent banging around in my email. I had a very long conversation. Ask me questions that I might not be thinking about having an agent in my inbox, particularly with regard to deletion.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I figured out that I can set it up so it is not allowed to delete. So when you connect your Claude code or your AI to, like, for example, Google Drive, there's a moment, and I can't describe exactly where in the there's a moment where a box will pop up and it will say, yes, do you want to give this thing delete control, read control, write control? If you're nervous about it, don't let it write. Don't let it do anything other than read. And that will prevent deletions in your documents. And in your email, here was my take, I had this long conversation. I said, my dad is 86. This is not the moment to accidentally delete any emails from my dad, right? Here's his email. And here's his email. There may be no deleting of emails from Robert W. Murphy. Like, I had those kind of conversations with it, right? And I said, okay, here are some things that we know we can get rid of. And I just went through it like that, Herb. And little by little, I chopped away at, probably at the end of the day, over 100,000 emails.
Wow.
Yeah. And they just keep piling up, though. But that's just the way it is. Alice, how can people find you, work with you, get to know you better? Where are you showing up on all the socials?
Luckily, I have my handle and my website all the same. So smallbusinessaicoach.com, and then on TikTok and Instagram, same thing. On LinkedIn, I'm Alice Bazdikian, so you'll find me as myself. And I'm missing one. Yes, YouTube, and also Small Business AI Coach on YouTube as well. So if you look up Small Business AI Coach on most of the platforms, you'll find me.
I'm so jealous of
Really?
your brilliance in that URL. Oh my God. That's literally what people Google all the time. That's it. Those are my SEO terms. I will never rank on them, but you will.
I hope so.
Yes. Oh, you will. You're going to clean up. Send us out with, what does AI readiness mean to you?
I think AI readiness is a mindset. Like, stay curious, stay open. You don't have to understand everything. You don't have to know everything. Just be okay with that. Like, I know I'm never going to know every tool, everything. I'm not a technical person, but I'm not intimidated by that. So I think AI readiness is just be open, not intimidated, ask questions, use AI to answer them. Like, AI can now be your dev, your IT guy, your consultant, anything you want, just ask. And
be audacious. Be audacious. Ask it for the most ridiculous, just redonkulous thing you can possibly imagine. Like, I'll mention one because you alluded to it. Don't just ask for AI to teach you something. Be like, you know what? Actually, you just do that thing yourself. That worked for me. I have a whole learning journey I'm on for this one topic. And I was like, you know what? Let's just see what happens if I say, you know what? Let's skip the whole learning thing. I don't want to know. Can you just do this? And it was like, bet. And it put together the whole plan. I was like, oh, wow. I just saved myself like 100 hours of trying to learn something that I didn't need to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we can only know and learn so much as human beings. So I think it's giving your attention to the right sources, and also like following the right people. Like, I love Sabrina. Being in her community
follow the right people.
gives me so much like knowledge. Like, we're running a hackathon next week. I think the community element and knowing that there's people out there that can, that want the same things as you, they're on the same journey as you. You're not alone in this. Like, literally only maybe 1% of people really understands AI right now. 99.9% of people don't understand anything, don't know where to start, which is the biggest problem with small businesses and individuals. Like, we just don't know where to start. So don't be intimidated. Just be open-minded, stay curious, ask questions. Don't judge before you understand.
Oh, yes.
So,
don't judge. And that goes for everything. Don't judge. You don't know. Walk a mile in people's shoes before you judge, right? To everybody, thank you. We appreciate all of our friends and fans and supporters and allies in the comments and in our community. Alice, thank you so much for being here today. This was awesome. I cannot wait to see what's next for you and just follow along in our random AI journeys.
I mean, agentic matriarchy, like, I want to know so much more about that. And honestly, I have so many questions. I know it's not clear right now, but I think you're going to have to go deeper into that at some point. And I'm looking forward to it.
I would really love to just chat with you sometime about it. So let's do that. Everybody else, follow along. I'm going to start posting probably tomorrow about this journey that we're on.
Amazing. I'm already following you. I already went on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube. So
yay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Kate, you going to take us out? She's going to take us out.
Podcast.